that they used in Egypt were capable of drilling with each revolution 500 times more than modern diamond drills that were used by people who cut into granite.
Their penetration rate was 500 times greater.
So it might have been operating a slower revolution, but when it's going through its full revolution, it's much more effective.
That's what I concluded in
now, is
the
this
article.
is this in multiple different drill holes, or is it one individual sample that they found that seems to operate at this depth per revolution?
There have been inspections on several different cores.
And have they all yielded similar results?
And they have all revealed that the groove is a spiral. In other words, it's a continuous spiral around the core. The most recent examination of those cores was in 2018 by two aerospace engineers, Eric Wilson and Josh Gear. And they asked the Petrie Museum in London permission to examine the cores in their collection, the Petrie core number 7, which is the most famous core, and the one that has drawn the most heated kind of debate about.
Can we see what that looks like? Jamie, can you find that one?
Petrie core?
Petrie core number 7?
It's on that, yeah.
Because this, to me, and the vases, obviously, and of course the construction, the pyramid itself.
Right.
They're also the symmetry of the faces.
Right.
There's so many things that are so mind-blowing about whatever they did and how they did it. I mean, forget about all the mysteries.
Right.
Just what we know in terms of, okay, so these are these two core samples. These are these two cores.
They're the same one. And they're from Lost Technologies of Ancient Egypt. And essentially, what happened was there was a book written, I think it was in 1999. It was by Chris Ogilvy Harold and Ian Lawson, and it's called Giza the Truth. And so what they did is they had associates that went into the Petrie Museum and examined the core to see if it was actually a spiral. So they took photographs of it, and they examined those photographs, and they said, no, they're horizontal. Now, there's a big difference when you talk about a horizontal groove and a spiral groove. And so I was like, okay, I suspend all assertions as far as the methods that I proposed for how it may have been done. I need to go and examine that item myself. And so I booked a flight to England, and a friend of mine in Cambridge picked me up at the airport, Nick Annis, and we went to the Petrie Museum, and I examined the core. The method I used was to just wrap a simple cotton thread around it.
So you just followed the groove with the thread?
With the thread. But I was wearing...
rubber gloves?
Well, yes, I was wearing rubber gloves, but I was also wearing a visor with lenses in it that gave 10 times power.
Oh, okay, so you could really see where the grooves are?
Yeah, you would find those items in any toolmaker's box.
So if the lines were horizontal, you would go around in a circle, then you'd have to cross over the ridge to hit to the next circle.
Yeah.
But in this case, it was continuous.
No, I mean, it was continuous.
Right.
Okay.
So how did they miss that? That seems like this is such an important piece of history, such a fascinating thing to examine. Look at this mystery. You have this granite core.
Right.
How do they do it? There's lines on it.
Right.
Are they horizontal or are they a spiral?
Right.
And then they just go, oh, it's horizontal. And then you come along with string, and you're like, no, it's a spiral.
Right.
Like, how does someone screw that up?
Yes, I mean, they would say that I screwed it up, obviously. But the thing is, Joe, is that, when you're conducting research, anybody, whether you're a scientist or just a, Joe Blow in the tool room, and you say, okay, this is what I found, and these are the methods I used, and these are the results. Okay?
Right.
So you describe your experiment, and you lay it out, and you explain in detail how you did it.
Wouldn't with today's technology, wouldn't it be really easy to scan it?
Well, it is now, yeah.
Yeah,
Obviously.
and then they would. So have they done that? Have they definitively proven one way or the other?
I don't think there is a really high-quality scan that would be necessary. I mean, I've learned a little bit about scanning. It was just being introduced into manufacturing when I retired, just before I retired. We started to look into it, and we bought this white light scanning system. But now...
The systems now are so advanced.
The systems now
and you
are
feed
like
it through
light
AI,
years ahead.
and you would feed it through AI, and it would tell you exactly.
Well, I mean, you basically you could slice it, dice it, examine it any way you wish, but you need to have qualified people to do it. Not anybody with that's not qualified could examine that.
Right. So either way, these cores and those drill holes represent something sensational, something absolutely amazing. Some 4,500-year-old drill that somehow or another was more effective than drills that are being used today.
Yeah, but you know the truth of the matter, though, Joe.
What?
It's probably.
I wish you could just tell me, and then we'd know. There's so many mysteries.
It's probably the most insignificant artifact I've looked at.
I'm sure.
I mean,
you looked at so much in Egypt.
Yeah.
I mean, but to me, it's like a corner piece.
Oh, people are freaking out over it.
Yeah.
How could you? How dare you?
Well, I'm sure, because it throws everything into flux. Because how did they? The assumption is they did this through intense labor over long periods of time, and it took forever to do.
Right.
And if they're operating at a pace that's 500 times more effective than a drill that's used by a modern... Have you talked to other people that go into granite? Are there more sophisticated drills that work better, or more powerful drills that work better than his?
The thing is in manufacturing, and this is a fact. You don't know the full scope of what engineers are capable of doing.